Hi, beautiful. We're going to talk about decision making. I absolutely love this topic. With little decisions, I personally do something that you might find silly, but it's effective and it's fun. At one point in my life, I had 6 kids at home and I owned 6 businesses that I was running simultaneously. So you can probably imagine that I had a lot of decisions to make on a daily basis. In fact, I was making so many decisions, little and big, that I was getting decision fatigue. Like, I didn't want to make any more decisions. I'm done. And so I realized that if I was going to save my brain power, then I needed to outsource the essentially meaningless decisions, things that didn't require a lot of thought. So who did I outsource that to? Penny. This little Penny. Thanks, Penny. You have saved me a lot of decision fatigue. Heads, I have lunch at the Thai place. Tails, it's Italian. Looks like we're having lunch at the Thai place. So obviously, if I know that I'm in the mood for Thai, then I don't have to flip Penny. I'm just going to go eat Thai food. However, the penny is super helpful when it doesn't really matter which choice. And a lot of our decisions are not life or death. Whether you do A or B, it's not going to make a huge consequential outcome in your life. But for some reason, we just can't decide because maybe they both sound about the same, or you're just having one of those days where you're like, I don't know, and I'm tired of making decisions. Someone else decide. Well, Penny will decide. And it's also playful and fun. And because I'm someone who believes in divine intervention when necessary, I honestly think that even if I thought the decision was meaningless and that Penny should decide, but in reality, I would meet someone super important for my soul's growth if I went to the Italian place for lunch, then Penny would land on Italian. But either way, even if you're someone who thinks that everything is coincidence, it's still a great idea. It's still a great way to make faster decisions and move on with your day to more important things. So try it. And if you like it, keep it. But what about really big or important decisions? The kind of decisions where it might be irresponsible to make Penny decide. I'll be honest. I've even had Penny make big decisions for me. Here's the caveat. If there was truly no logical way that I could research or figure out the problem, there was just no foreseeable way that I could know which choice was ideal. In those situations, I would let Penny decide, honestly, because it was like, well, I'm just shooting in the dark anyway. But for things that you know require a very thoughtful, well thought out decision, it's helpful to get clear on a few things. 1, who are you trying to impress? It had better be you or it won't be any fun. If you need to impress other people with your decisions and choices in life and the outcomes, you are now controlled by those people's circumstances and outcomes. On the other hand, if you're here as a human being alive to impress yourself, you're more likely to be happy, much more likely to be happy. And I know what impresses me most. It's people who are kind and honest. So I decided that I would always do my best to pick the kindest option, whatever that was. Not in a codependent or doormat way, but kind and honest. What felt right to me, according to my values. So even if things went wrong, at the very least, I knew that I stuck with my own personal values. However, I quickly found out that if you have dozens of employees, what one considers kind and helpful, another may consider horrible and condescending. It's the same thing. It's the same decision. You're doing the same thing, but one person views it through this lens, another views it through this lens. There's nothing you can do about that. So I had no choice but to trust my own inner guidance on what I believed would be for the greatest good of all involved in the situation. Knowing that there's always going to be a handful of people who, for whatever reason, don't like your decisions. Whatever personal reasons they have, they just think it's a dumb idea. There's nothing you can do about that. Now, of course, I would consult with trusted individuals, my management team and others, to hear different valid perspectives and take that into consideration. But at the end of the day, I cannot be all things to all people. And I can't listen to everyone else when they're all saying different things. I cannot please everyone, and neither can you. But we can do our best to be our own true, authentic selves. Knowing that ultimately, I have to be responsible for the decisions that I make. So it has to be me that makes the decision. I will not be able to blame anyone else. Even if they gave me terrible advice, it was still my decision to listen to them. I'm still fully 100% accountable for the outcome. That's how self-responsibility works. My last piece of advice is this. If you have several options to pick through, think through each one. What is the best case, average case, and worst case scenario for each option? The logical choice, if you're going to use logic, is that if the best case is about the same for each one, and the probability is about the same for each one, then obviously pick the one with the least devastating worst case outcome, the one that requires the least time and energy investment. That way, even if you lost everything, if you lost all your time and energy that you put into it, your losses were minimal. But let's say you've got this extreme option where the best case scenario is amazing. It's truly next level. All your dreams come true. But the worst case would be absolutely devastating to you. Then you need to consider your tolerance for risk. If you're a YOLO person, you only live once, go for it, and you're someone who can bounce back quickly from setbacks, and you'll be able to survive if you lose it all for whatever reason, for whatever unforeseen reason, then go for it. Go for it. On the other hand, if you are someone who ruminates a lot, or you would be just absolutely crushed by this particular loss, if this turned out to be a poor choice, or it could negatively impact your children or your spouse's life, then obviously it wouldn't be a bad idea to stick to the safer option. Either way, you get to decide, and at the end of the day, only you can decide what you do with your life. I hope some of these strategies have been helpful. Some of these thoughts and ideas have been helpful. And then last but not least, after you've made your decision, I'm going to advise that you pray about it to your higher power for confirmation of whether you've made the right decision or not. This step may not be necessary, but it can't hurt. And sometimes you'll glean really powerful insights and epiphanies from this practice. There's a deeper knowing that you can connect with. And if you don't already know how to effectively pray, I've linked to a free how-to manual on effective praying. It's really short and sweet. Gives the basics in simple, easy terms. I've linked it in the description section of the video. At the end of the day, you've got to trust yourself. You are not an idiot. Chances are, if you've made mistakes in the past, it's either because you listened to your FOMO, your fear of missing out, or other people instead of your own deepest inner knowing and stillness. Because there's wisdom in there, I promise you. You're a genius. So make a decision and give it your love. And if you succeed, celebrate. If you fail, give yourself grace and move on. There will be more opportunities down the road. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Beck Sato. I'll see you soon. Love you.